across the street. Yeah, so for those folks like Denise, like myself, who have to wrap your head around the idea of leaving the little, community. I'm in central Denver where I've been for years, and the idea of moving out of the city is, tested me a little bit. What's my commitment to living in community? And I'm now really excited about our location and about our community that we're building. But yeah, I know that's one of the things I had to go through as well, as I'm really willing to and ready to do that. Yeah, we've got our guest speaker. And let's turn it over to Bob. I know that's what people came from. I will drop some more the information about the next meeting in the chat too, so you can take that with you. But Bob, if you would take it away, introduce yourself, and just as a setup for anybody who didn't hear this when we started or arrived in a little bit after we mentioned it, that these are the floor plans that we all members got together and our architect team uh, drafted these original floor plans, and then we all met in person in mid-May and offered a lot of our questions and feedback. And the team took them, and you'll hear about some of the changes we made. And they speak to also something else you mentioned, which is accessibility. Denise, was something on everybody's mind.
Yeah.
So I see we've got one more guest. If you don't mind dropping your name in the chat, let us know where you're from, or if you want to tell us before we jump into the details of our floor plans tonight.
All right. Well, my name is Bob Wilson. I'm with Caddis Collaborative. I've been working with Brian for the past 2.5 years with Caddis. Brought on relatively recently to this project, not long before we really sort of dove into the units, but very excited about the prospects for the project, and really had a great time meeting with all of you and kind of talking through the units and getting your feedback. I'm excited to hear what other additional thoughts you might have tonight. But yeah, I think this is an exciting project for all of us. So yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes.
And I'll just mention, Bob, if you need me to, I have all the plans pulled up. If you need me to share a screen, if that's easier for you while you talk, for example, or if we want to go through them, I can drive, so to speak. I wasn't sure if you have those pulled up.
Yeah, either way, Joshua. Why don't you go ahead and pull them up, and if there's something else that would be useful, maybe before you do that, what you're pulling up, does it have um, the previous version versus
It
the
has
new?
a
Okay.
smaller picture of the previous
Yeah,
version, and then
okay.
it's the yeah, it's the preview. So I'll just show you, for example, here is plan A, and if you scroll down, it's a little small, and of course I can zoom this up,
Sure.
but it will show the prior
Okay, that's
version.
perfect. That's perfect. I mean, I didn't have anything different than that to
Okay.
pull up. So yeah, if you want to just leave that up, that's great.
Yeah.
Um,
Um, and
And so
maybe we
I guess not entirely sure about how you want to sort of go through these. If we just start with Plan A and kind of work our way through them, if that's most helpful. However you guys want
I,
to do it.
I think that's good. Maybe actually what we should do is actually start with the overview.
Okay,
And I'll just pull that up really quickly.
sure.
Apologies, folks. And let me share a different screen very quickly. And this will whoops, yes, there we go. Hopefully, let me make this a little bit bigger as well. Um, if I can. Let's see if well, maybe it's not going to let me. So let me pull that up a different way. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing very quickly and pull that and just put it in a different format. There we go. Okay. So hopefully you can see this. This just at least mentions the overall unit mix and the number of units, units A through G, and with bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, the type, and the level of accessibility and then the total number of units. Um, is this also Eva? Do you know if is this something you were able to put on the website yet as well? Is this up there?
Yes, I was, and it was included in the e-blast as well.
Great. Okay. And then with the additional information about the size of the common house and the various outbuildings and garages as well. So um, when we'll talk about each unit, I guess we will just kind of go in order. And if any of you can, you can refer to this on the website. Unit A being, starting with the carriage house. Then we have four flat designs, and we'll show you where those are in the neighborhood, and then two town home designs. So we'll go from there, and you can see the square footages here. So now I will move on to Unit A for those who are curious about it. And I just want to say, like before, as we get into this, um, the to your point, Denise, the unit design workshop was very much uh, a it was a team building process as well. We worked very closely with the architects and with each other, and it gave us, I think, a lot. It was definitely, every part of this process along the way has felt like a bonding experience with those who've been along for the ride. I do feel, you see Lisa here and Eva here. These are people I did not know. Until, well, Lisa, I guess it's been a couple years, but Eva, not even a year. But I feel like the community is in such good hands with the people who have joined this community, and people I find, that I think are interesting, collaborative, intelligent, and most of all, just fun and easygoing too, and people that I look forward to living with and sharing a community with. So, all right, I've talked enough, and Bob, do you want to talk about this unit a little bit?
Absolutely. So this unit was really interesting. I mean, it's sort of the only unit that's truly a one-off or a detached sort of it's almost like its own sort of single-family detached unit with no shared walls. And this you probably recognize that some of the revisions to this plan were maybe even further departure, maybe from what was discussed in the workshop, um, largely because of some of the requirements for some of the programmatic elements, some of the mechanical, some closet space, the sort of circulation function of the spaces. The previous layout had the primary entrance to the unit up in the far right corner of the plan, and the 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 challenge with that is that it makes the circulate it then sort of puts the circulation on kind of an awkward diagonal through the space. It's maybe not as clear cut as it could be, but it's also just sort of fundamentally not quite as efficient. I think anytime when we're dealing with spaces that are that are trying to be as efficient as possible, uh, oftentimes it's best to try to get the plan organization into um, sort of a dual access kind of a thing. So in other words, what that means is now the entry is more central to the plan. So when you enter, you're kind of splitting the difference between the public and the private side. You're not necessarily having to negotiate around a dining room table, for example, to get back to the hallway, to the bedrooms, etc. So the other part of this too is that because this unit is sort of marching down the site with a like unit, about 11 feet away from it. Really, what we want is the deck from that bedroom one to be at a diagonal to the living the kitchen living area. So there's more of a sense of privacy from one unit to the next. And in the previous example, those windows were directly across from what would be the deck to the next unit. And so what that meant was trying to get, for example, the TV wall on the bathroom, opposite the bathroom, as opposed to being on an outside wall, so that we could in fact get some translucency on that sort of south and south right portion of the plan. And then some other things that we really needed to consider in this one were getting the laundry and some of the utility space sort of off of the living area. That was a little bit of an awkward plan configuration that was something we were hoping to resolve with this latest iteration. So, other than that, the mechanics of the kitchen, they're essentially the same. The geometries are the same. They're just flipped. And so now you've got a more defined entry. You've got more closet space, et cetera. In a lot of ways, I think it just makes for a better plan.
And if I may add, Bob,
Yeah.
that you may have mentioned this, but it is the only unit that is not elevator accessible. Is that correct?
Well,
They're all upstairs.
it's
garages.
all upstairs. Yes, it's not served by an elevator. And yeah, given that it sort of sets right on top of a 3-car garage, there really is no opportunity unless we were to go outboard with an
Right.
elevator.
I just wanted to mention that for those who are considering it.
And so just to also show folks, I'll see if I can, sorry, it's kind of hard to see, but this is an overview of the overall site. I know it's small, but these are 3-car garages and these units sit above these. And we've been assured by Caddis that also the amazing insulating properties in terms of noise insulation and others, that these above garage flats, which are sort of our entry level units, will be really very comfortable to live in. I do think this is an example of how the involvement of the group kind of made it into what seems to me to be a more livable, more desirable unit. So, but this is and then this is overall, like, just to remind people, this is a flat. It's essentially 2-bedroom and 1 bath, and it is a total of I think 864 square feet gross is what we are talking about with this. And we're calling these the carriage units.
Does that include the possibility of the loft?
Sorry, that
it would
square
not,
footage
that
does not include
I don't
does
believe
not
it.
include the optional loft.
Yeah. Okay. Do we want to move on to the next one?
Sure. Real
I'll
quick,
just-
I just wanted to
Yeah.
that was a good point. I don't know, Anne, did you bring up the comment about the
Yeah.
loft? I can't remember. I thought I had maybe read some of the correspondence that's gone back and forth. I mean, is the hope that the loft can continue to remain an option? Or did we want to do away with the loft?
I don't know that we made a final decision, but
Okay.
I wasn't directly in that group.
Got it.
When we
Yeah. Okay. Well, I can look back at notes and maybe confirm with Brian on that one a little bit as well. But just one little thought on that is that I think previously there was a suggestion of a spiral staircase at some location in the plan. That remains a possibility. If that were the case, it would likely be maybe south of the TV area potentially. Or you can see the note here, an alternating tread device in lieu of one of the coat closets. I recently stayed in an Airbnb down in Denver that had a very similar kind of concept to this, and they utilized that sort of alternating tread. It greatly reduces the amount of space required to get up to the loft. So that's something to consider. But if in fact the loft option is still on the table, that's I think that would be the recommendation.
Thanks, Bob. Any questions from the group about Unit A? Okay. We'll move on to Unit B. We have a bunch to cover, actually, and I know people are probably interested in all the units, or at least some of the later units, so we'll just kind of keep working through them.
Okay. All right, Unit B. This is the first or the unit that stacks sort of directly above the main entry to the common area. So this is on level 2 of the main building that faces 44th. And because of, well, for a few reasons, primarily because of the notch out of that sort of southwest portion of the plan, it made sense to maybe consider this as our sort of designated type A accessible unit, and convert what had been a 2-bedroom unit that was going to be very, very challenging to accommodate type A accessibility. And the main departure from that previous plan was to turn this into a 1-bedroom flat and provide then the clearances necessary to meet type A accessibility. So from the standpoint of the kitchen, living, dining, that area really did not fundamentally change very much. The bathroom was relocated to the right side of the plan in lieu of a closet, as well as side-by-side washer and dryer, which we would need in the case of a type A unit. The bathroom itself here would have, in this case, it's showing a relatively small but type A accessible 36 by 36 inch shower. Transfer showers is more specifically what that's referred to. And then a little sort of a private sort of seating nook at the very south end of that plan that faces south over 44th.
And Bob, oh, I'm sorry.
We're probably going to the same place, Josh, which is asking if we remember the lessons that we learned at a workshop that you taught us, that type A accessibility means someone could move in who's wheelchair bound right now.
That's correct. Yep.
Navigate that apartment. It's laid out, ready for it.
That's right. Yep.
That's some of the training we got from our architects about what levels of accessibility are in the property. And the rest of the units from here on out will be that type B accessibility, which is prepared, adaptable. Maybe you could comment a little bit on that, Bob, before we look
Sure.
at
Yeah. When we get to the next plan, we can kind of go through some of the type B nuances. Yep.
Yeah. So thanks, because that was exactly what I was gonna bring up. So just to remind people, total square footage on the B units is 848 square feet. There will be 2 of those, and again, we'll meet the type A requirement. And then we have C, D, and E, which are all type B, which means they're adaptable into for individuals maybe with some limitations. So we can move on to type B, type C. Let me pull that up. Okay.
Okay, so this is the next unit in row on levels 2 and 3 above the main common house space. There are 4 of these units, 2 on each levels 2 and 3. This falls into the category of being a type B accessible unit, which means, from a plan standpoint, really what that means is that all of the doorways, for example, need to be, technically speaking, they need to accommodate 34 inches. Our experience is that we should always design with a 36-inch door in mind, just because they're more common. We're not confusing the issue by having 34-inch doors here, and 36 inches elsewhere. It just gives us a little bit more flexibility in that regard. This unit and then other things to consider, would be just certain clearances around appliances, turnaround spaces, accessible route through the unit itself, that sort of thing. But a lot of those requirements aren't as stringent as they are in a Type A unit. So from a plan standpoint, this one not really no grandiose changes necessarily. Because some things were challenging from an accessibility, even a Type B standpoint. The bathroom, that linear configuration is really challenging to convert into accessibility, particularly when you're really designing those. The way that bathroom, for example, was laid out previously, that linear fashion, 5 by 8, is really, really, really tight to try to make that work. And the other thing about the living dining kitchen that maybe didn't quite work as well was previously the living didn't furnish very well. There was probably more space in the kitchen configuration than was necessary. The overall dimensions really lent themselves better to more of an eat-in kitchen configuration, and what that allows is for then the living space to have a TV wall, to be able to furnish it as it's shown in the revised plan. And what that does is that led to kind of the primary bedroom, the bedroom configuration kind of being mirrored a little bit. So the larger bedroom is now on the right-hand side of the plan. And then utility space, the water heater, heat pump, optional washer and dryer, that's all kind of now within its own distinct room, as opposed to having closets at numerous locations. So there were some just inherent efficiencies, I feel like, with those changes.
I think it's worth mentioning that, we really were that the floor plans in general, are meant to be. I don't want to overly focus on the adaptability pieces because the overall focus on the unit design was on really comfortable living spaces, a lot of sort of open floor plan space so that it's really adaptable, or I should just say like accommodates having guests in our units. The idea is that the units are not, you may live in a smallish unit, but you may still, of course, want to have people over your house and you might want to entertain a lot. And so there's lots of outdoor porches in those. Most of them, I think, have those, especially the ones in the common that are above the common house there. There's the common walkway and a place to put table and chairs. They feel bigger because of that open floor plan configuration. And we know that people tend to like pantries. So, we were all pretty big on trying to get pantries into these as well because a lot of us really like to cook. So that came up over and over again. I feel like in the design workshop was, how do we make the most generous, entertaining space and comfortable space for hanging out with nice views? How do we all have our own little place to entertain, and then how do we have the little things that make a difference in a living place?
And of course, if the party gets really big, you can go to the common house.
Right.
Right.
Right. And you
The
should.
big kitchen there.
Yes. Yeah, totally. I think for those who are looking at these, one of the advantages of being in one of the units in the common house, of course, is that you really then don't, the advantage of, let's say, having a washer dryer or using that space up for a washer dryer is a lot less because you have commercial washers and dryers in the building in which you live, very close by. Or again, to Debbie's point, if you are, having 20 people over, you just move the party downstairs. So, or if you need places for people to stay, they're still in the same building that your unit is located in. Okay.
Add on a little bit, a note on that. A couple other things that were really common changes that we offered up at the were entryways, right? So like when you come in, you have a little area that's like your landing area, your take your muddy shoes off area kind of thing. That was something that our folks wanted, pretty much across the board. I think we ended up adding that. So, and then some of us are really thinking of, this comes up in every time we talk about the spaces, that balance between your individual living space and that community space. I kind of went in thinking maybe I'll downsize a little bit because I've got guest suites that I can share and I've got rooms we can use. I actually came out thinking maybe I'll upsize and get a roommate because some of the larger units we haven't seen yet, and I'm kind of jumping the gun, are just so lovely and laid out well that maybe I'll get myself a housemate or something, and we'll have our own little mini community within the community because they're just great designs. And now I'll stop.
Let me just ask a question kind of related to this, but to have to be sensitive, I have to jump off at 7. So because you all have been in the process for a while, and something like the Unit E, and there's not very many of them, how do I not know that it's kind of already spoken for and that's not really an option? I think you hear where I'm going.
Yeah, I mean, as you might imagine, Denise, the order that people get to pick units has to do with the order in which they they signed up and are contributing, and as a fully vested member,
Right.
So I will say that just looking back at the total list, there are things like E's and F's. Well, I guess this is non-scientific, but we were each asked to sort of participate in 1 to 2 of the different unit types, and there was quite a wide spread of
There
what
was.
people felt like they could live in. It wasn't like, for example, everybody wanted a duplex or everybody wanted 1 unit. So I actually think right now, certainly right now at our current membership level, I can say very, very, I think very confidently that all the units are available
I would
right now.
say so. Mhm.
Okay.
I don't know how long that would be. My hope is that it's not always like that and that we get so many people interested that we do sort of fill up. But
Yeah.
for now, yes, they're all open.
Okay. Thanks.
We are kind of keeping track of that exchange, and that's actually probably worth us doing. And that's something to put a pin in, Lisa and Eva and Debbie and Diane, is just, hey, let's kind of re-go through our kind of list and say like who's thinking of which units, because I feel like that question will come up again and again. And not that people are totally, no one's has to commit to anything right now, but I think it'd be good for us to, kind of put our like maybe right now first, second
Yeah,
choices.
but the reality is, because of capital, you're going to need people to commit. You know what I mean? As I, sort
Well,
of
we have
just,
people who are committing to the whole thing, but that doesn't mean they have to choose which unit they're committing to. So
okay.
and that's the part that is the asks are the same for everyone in
Okay.
the process.
Okay. Thanks.
Sure. Okay. We'll move on to sorry, we're on Unit D now, right? So let me just pull that one up, and we'll get to definitely some of these. A little bit bigger and especially when it comes to more bathrooms units. Um, and again, just to point out, like if you look at these, it'll say what are the summary of revisions on these. These are gross square footage area updated to 1,026, and this is a 2-unit layout or a 2-bedroom layout. And these are adjacent to the common house, as you can see in this tiny diagram to the side, the part of the L building where near the elevators.
Right, and so this unit occurs at level 1 as well. So it's 1, 2, and 3
Thanks.
levels. So there are 12 of these overall in the project. All right. So anyway, this plan, I think, let me look at the previous here.
Yeah, I can.
No, you can actually, if you want to, Josh, you can leave it on the big one. I've got it sort of
Okay,
on my
gotcha.
screen. I just wanted to kind of take a quick glance. So the the changes to the living, kitchen, dining didn't fundamentally change all that much, other than to sort of flip the living and kitchen, given the dimensions of the entry. It just seemed like there was a better opportunity to have sort of a landing area and a dining when you walk in, as opposed to trying to sort of fight for space with the living area. That 13-foot dimension is, or what is it? Is it 13, or it's 15 all the way across? So to try to really make that work with the living was a little bit tight. Um, let's see. And then as far as the rest of the plan goes, this again, as I mentioned in one of the previous plans, one of the challenges in making sure that we had type B accessibility were just fundamentally some of the clearances around fixtures in the bathrooms, and again, a linear bath doesn't really work very well from a type B accessible standpoint. So the bathroom off of the bed on the lower left corner, which is sort of the primary bedroom, I guess. That bathroom would then would accommodate type B accessibility. Uh, the the condition for then the other sort of utility area and bathroom on the right hand side of the plan, that sort of fundamentally stayed the same. What we did need was we needed some additional utility space. So the area that was previously a walk-in closet for that primary bedroom, we split that up into a coat closet and some space for the heat pump. And then whereas previously we had a dividing wall between the two bedrooms, now that's gotten utilized a little bit uh, to provide a couple things. Well, obviously the closet space for the primary bedroom, but also some kind of a dresser space for the secondary bedroom, which didn't really exist before. Um, in looking at the dimensions, if there were areas that we could sort of adopt some space, it really was in the bedroom, primarily the primary bedroom previously had a length of 13.8, which is generous, but arguably more generous than it needs to be for this type of unit. So
One quick comment, one of the things that we changed was also where the bath is. There's one bath now in the common, and we moved it on the theory that those folks being there with young children, those are who want the bath, not so much maybe the main, master bedroom kind of layout. So just some things like that, thinking about what are the different kinds of households we might have, and where the layout best works.
I just had a quick question. It said that we added a pantry to this one. Could you just point out where it is in the,
Oh yeah, sorry. Let me just pull it back up.
well, that's a good point. Yeah, it looks like maybe we didn't get in on this one, as it turns out. So we can turn the screws on this thing a little bit and figure out a space for that.
I remember discussing a pantry closet area next to the stove, and then having storage under the chopping block in the middle, which is a built-in as well. So
I think it may also be listed as closet here, the one that's just into the hallway.
okay. Yeah, that wasn't there before. It's true.
That's, I think, what we consider, because it's right off of the kitchen. So
Right.
That is a change.
It's a really nice floor plan.
I think it's going to be popular, actually, and I'm
Yeah.
glad there's a dozen of them.
it's good because we have lots of them.
Yeah, and the other thing that we could do as well is if we if we put the TV wall on the wall that separates the living area from that bathroom, and we organize the furnishing in sort of an L shape that faces that wall, we could adopt a little bit of space. We could sort of split that coat closet into a closet on one half and the pantry on the other side. Something like that. in order to get both. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you'd want coat closet as well as pantry. So that's a possibility. The other thing is we realize as we're putting the site, really kind of getting this into the site plan and looking at dimensions. This quite frankly was an oversight. So I think at the end of the day, what's going to happen with this particular plan is that, and I think this is in alignment with some comments that we've heard previously, is that this unit might actually want to grow a little bit larger. And so this 42 9.25 dimension really, if we're looking at what the site plan is offering and what there's space for, it should be an even 44-foot dimension. And so that'll add that much more square footage. It'll give more north-south dimension to this plan and be able to more effectively accommodate some of those other programmatic elements that you guys are looking for.
Yeah, and for background for folks that I mentioned earlier, when the site plan was reviewed, they wanted some things changed, and initially some of our drafts shrunk and they kind of got more compacted. And we talked about spreading out the 2-bedroom flats. So there's really a distinction between a smaller floor plan and a larger floor plan that is meaningful and a little different for, accommodating people with different needs. So that does make sense. Just Bob, and in keeping with kind of what we did, for example, with the townhomes and some of the other things, was where we knew there would be room to expand. We asked for more space and differentiating the sizes of the units more. So you'll see some of that as it comes, but I just want to chime in on that. A little bit of growth on this unit would differentiate it more from the smaller one.
Yeah.
And be probably a little bit more of an option that's a little bit livable. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Okay. On to E.
All right. Well, this the largest of the units probably underwent the most change, I would say, for all the plans. The kitchen, living, dining wasn't really changed all that much. It's really everything north of that. We literally flipped the entire program so that the primary bedroom is now on the opposite side to just make better use of the circulation through the unit itself, with the entry sort of located central to the plan, kind of going north to sort of the east-west circulation. Just makes for a much clearer sort of navigation through the space. Previously, you were coming into the unit and then going diagonally over to a bedroom entry through the living room, going through the kitchen to get to another corridor back to the secondary bedrooms, and it just there were some things that were making that challenging and maybe not quite as efficient as they could have been. So based on making things more efficient and some of the other feedback we heard, this now I feel like just lives a little bit better. Kind of gets the primary bedroom, the dimensions, work a little bit better. You've still got a very generous walk-in closet that now has an opportunity to get some daylight out into the patio area. The laundry now has all of that functionality of the laundry room is now sort of bisecting the plan, so it acts as kind of a nice buffer between the secondary bedrooms and the primary. The primary bath as you can see, is now a 5-piece, which is something we had talked about. It's just a lot more generous, a much nicer bathroom. And then the 2 bedrooms on the far right, they're now effectively equivalent in size, and their bedroom or bathroom, I should say, is much more generous as well.
May I just ask, on those closets and bedroom, the smaller bedrooms, are those the deep closets when they're 2.8, 2 feet 8, or is that a regular.
Those are a typical 2 foot dimension,
Okay.
although, I mean, I suppose it could be argued that, going from 10.5 to 10 foot wouldn't be the end of the world for those
No, but
bedrooms.
I've seen that here in Houston, where they did a deep closet on some
Uh-huh.
of them and some they didn't.
Yeah.
That's why I wasn't sure about the dimensions.
Got it.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
And
Um,
this is located on there's no, this is like on the first level, right?
Oh, well, this is, yeah. So this unit's steps. There are 5 of these units in total, and moving from the common house, they stack levels 1, 2, 3, and then the adjacent units are stacked at 1 and 2. So there is that stepping effect. But those, yeah, sorry, it looks like I lost the graphic of exactly where they're located, but they're
it's
kind of right in the middle. Yeah, there you go, right in the middle of
So
the room.
there's 3 levels. I don't know if you can see my pointer, but on the right side,
Yep,
it's
yep.
levels 1, 2, and 3 here, and then levels 1 and 2 here. We were
So
asked,
if you got into the level 1, you could conceivably get a level 1 that basically has no stairs or elevator or anything, but you've got to get into level 1 on them.
Mhm.
yes,
Okay.
for this unit, there will be 2 level 1 type E
Okay.
units.
Well, aren't they also connected to the apartments, the flats that go next to them, so they'd be accessible by the elevator near the
They
front?
are, yeah. So the circulation to get to each of these units happens on the south side of this plan. So there's a common walkway that connects all of these, and so they're effectively all served by that elevator. Yeah.
Okay.
Good, good.
So yes, and I do know that one of our members wants the 3rd floor. I know Beth and Brad want that 3rd floor E unit. So if somebody had their heart set on that, that one may not be available. I think it's going to get a lot of sun, that unit too, though. So for those who don't want as much sun, like my wife, that might be not the right unit. So hopefully there's hopefully get the right mix of people, not only personality wise, but also of who wants what. So let me pull up Plan F now. Now we're talking about the townhomes. And the townhomes, I'll just mention the
Did we
type.
skip?
Oh, go
No, I'm sorry. I need to zip. This is correct. F. I've lost my place in the alphabet.
ahead. So just while we're looking at it, so here's again the overall plan. All of the F units on this side, just to reorient, this is the east side of the property. North is to the left, south is to the right. So this is the east side of the property. So all the F units are here, and then all the G units are on the west side. So just so you can see.
And that's not how it appears on the website. If you're looking at those, it looks like there's a larger and a smaller paired. That design changed in the process. So
Have you seen? Oh, this is directed at Denise. The fly through that we have on the website. There's a 3.5 minute fly through that gives you a general idea of the whole layout of the 3.5 acres.
I don't know if I've seen that. I'll have to relook. I mean, I've
Yeah,
looked at a lot of them.
it really gives you the big picture.
I
Okay.
think that's a great point. It makes a lot more sense when you look at the fly through and just know that some of the things that are on the fly through, like what Lisa and Debbie were saying, that it looks like there's a little bit, the duplexes are mixed in on both sides. That's not the case, and there's a little punch out that goes further east in those upper units. That's gone, but otherwise the fly through will really give you a sense of what those flats will be like in their proximity and the ease of access and things like that.
Okay. Thanks.
one quick note too that I know this come up a lot since we had our May workshop on the design. We actually had that in Boulder at their at Wild Sage, was a co-housing community, and we toured also Silver Sage, which is a senior community next door, and that was really educational because one of the things that I think a lot of us have trouble visualizing space in the abstract, and And sometimes people get the impression that our layout means we're really close to each other, that there's not a lot of open space in the middle of the units, or that the townhomes are going to be very close together or something. And they are closer, I think, than you might ordinarily think they should be. But when you tour these communities and how they're laid out, and they're mixed with these very purposeful outdoor spaces, nooks and crannies where people can sit, and little areas with a bench and a table or a couple of chairs on a little patio. It really makes the space feel intimate and not crowded, and it feels personalized, even though it's out in the kind of common areas. And that was such an education for me to walk through and see how these layouts really operate in person. So I just wanted to share that, because I know a few of us were talking about what a different sense we got of the space just by touring a community and seeing how nice it really feels and generous the space is. We have much more than the space we toured, and I think it's going to be really lovely.
Yeah. I mean, Silver Sage is what, on 1.1 acres or something, and I know it's a senior community, but it is calm and beautiful, and you do not feel those 16 units are on 1 acre. It's amazing what they've done.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to drop off, but let me just ask one last question, because I'm a real estate investor. I have to go check some people out who are moving out of one of my units and somebody else in. So the only other question I have is the HOA fee, I see it's 400 to 700. I assume that the people that have the larger units will probably pay a higher rate of the HOA than the smaller units. Is that how you're going to do it, or have you decided, or?
That's typically how the Colorado HOAs work, and I don't recall if that's a requirement. But it is. I was in a HOA in a condo complex for several years, and yeah, it's a proportional share based on square footage. Now that's like for legal decision making of certain kinds, I think. And then our community, what we have discussed, we haven't chosen a specific philosophy or laid out a lot of our ground rules for communal living yet. We're getting that started this summer, now that we have more people to contribute to that. But one of the things that we've talked about is wanting to make decisions as close to on a consensus model as possible. And we've been able to do that as members pretty successfully so far, making decisions together. Being committed to that. We've talked about where you would draw the line when you need to make health and safety decisions very quickly. For example, you may revert to a majority vote because time is of the essence or something like that. But that's just a preview of how we see some of those things going.
Great. Okay, well, this was super great. Sorry, I have to drop off to work, do a little tenant work. So, but
it's nice to meet you, Denise. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for attending.
Yeah.
Take care.
Sure.
Okay, moving to the last two.
Okay, Unit F. I think there was an email that went
That
around.
was me. That was me.
Well, no, those were great thoughts. Yeah, these were challenging. I'm really glad that there was a collective decision to make them a little bit larger, particularly wider, and the wider in this case helped us quite a bit.
You can go even wider if you need to. Go a little wider.
It may come to that. I think that one of the biggest challenge with both this and the next one that we'll see is trying to accommodate a potential future elevator. And so the spec that we've been looking at, it's sort of clear dimensional requirements are that 4'7" by 4'4", which on the ground level, is without an elevator is nice storage space, and then on the upper level could be storage, or we're calling it flex right now. Maybe it's a desk or a little smaller work area. And so the consequence of that is then sort of reorganize the kitchen so that it's in an L configuration facing out to the courtyard, and to get sort of a landing area uh, for taking your shoes off in a coat closet, and getting the powder room off of trying to get the door to the powder room off of the primary living space. All of that combined kind of led us down the path of, okay, well, with this extra width, let's take advantage of that, and put the mechanical over there combined with the pantry. Understanding that, yes, that sort of intermediate space that then results in is a little bit ill-defined, I suppose. So
I have a question, Bob.
yeah.
This plan does not have like the outdoor deck patio space, or
Well, it will. So we'll provide some amount of cover to the entry, and then the way that the site plan works, there actually is a fair amount of space, I believe, in front of these units that would
There
then
is.
serve as that private outdoor space. Yeah, these are set back a ways from the main the main circulation spine.
You actually have a small piece of grass
Yard.
yard. Thank
Yeah.
you.
thank you.
If you're, yes, yeah, these, can maybe be fenced in for those. You could fence in that small yard if
Mhm.
you have a dog, for example, and
Yep.
don't want to walk all the way to the back of the property in the middle of the night, for instance.
Right.
Um,
So,
okay.
so do we have, are you guys going to review that, Bob, that mid area, my concern of that kind of being unusable right now for functionality?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, let us take a look at that. I guess the question for the group, and as well as sort of priorities, I guess.
Mhm.
What's more important is the landing area at the entry. Is that preferable to a powder room at that location? Is the elevator, how truly critical is that
I know to
space?
Bob's family, it is to Bob and his
Yeah,
wife.
right.
That's very critical.
Right. So, I think that there are some things that we can look at to try to reconcile some of those issues at the middle of the plan. But there's not a ton of room, obviously, as you know.
And
Even
widening the whole unit, just
well, yeah, I mean, there might be some circulation and site constraints that prevent us from going too much wider. I mean, maybe adding a foot to these, having the dimensions on an even dimension is nice from a framing standpoint, and efficiency that way. But yeah, I mean, we'll take a look at it. I don't know that I necessarily have
Oh, I
any
understand
definitive
that.
answers right now, but
Thank
yeah,
you.
we can certainly look at it.
I think we can also talk to
Yeah.
Bob, Debbie, about maybe, really asking, because we went through the elevator exercise on several units, and maybe there's one unit where um, Bob is really more keyed in on, where it might be more important to have the potential to add an elevator later. This is one of our members, for those who are not members here,
Yeah.
who's interested in potentially putting in a private elevator in a single unit. But rather than do that exercise in all the units that are possible for him, maybe have him commit to the one that he knows he would want, and then make sure it's available in that one unit.
Hmm.
One or
I
two
think we did
units.
that not only for F, but also for G, as I recall, as well.
We
Yeah,
did.
that's right.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we'll let's see, where is plan? Oh, where did plan G go? Let me just pull that up again. Find that. See, there it is. Okay. And this is the bigger of the two duplexes. This is clocking in at 1,728 square feet.
Right. And this was another plan that really benefited from some of the dimensional increases both in width and depth.
Oops.
Primarily the main bedroom upstairs, that portion of the upper level cantilevers over the ground level and sort of helps define the entry, gives a better dimension to the bedroom space itself. The introduction of the elevator space now happens, you know, just to the north of that second bathroom upstairs, translates pretty cleanly downstairs into you know, just a tucked away storage if without the elevator option. The closet space, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but going back up to the upper level, you know, the closet space was really pretty challenged before. So these dimensional increases really help that. This is a plan. The bedrooms, you'll notice that those two closets for each of those bedrooms, because of their sort of north-south dimensional constraints, you know, those become those have that 3-foot depth dimension, just to get a little bit more storage, and then the access to those closets instead of a bypass door, it's a swing door. And then going over to the ground level, you know, the width in particular, in this case, the width really helped, particularly with the dining area. The kitchen space is largely unchanged. The pantry got a little bit bigger. We introduced a coat closet there at the end of the pantry. And then getting that extra width also helped us get the powder room sort of tucked away at the end of a small hallway, just for a little bit more privacy, so that was not.
And that wall was added.
Yeah, yeah. And that it just, given the east-west dimension, you know, it just helped. I mean, that just established kind of a natural, you know, entertainment wall at that location anyway. So
It's a really nice layout.
excuse me. And then this is a pretty exciting little plan. I think it might really live well. You know, the stairs then take on that sort of elongated U shape, and introducing, you know, maybe some bench seating along the stairs there allow us to kind of keep the stair railing kind of open for a large portion of that, and make the space feel even a little bit wider than it is.
Love it. So, yeah, we are a little over an hour now. It's 10 after 7. I guess I want to thank Bob for taking the time to join us tonight and sort of talk through it. I feel like, you know, from the members, I would love to hear any impressions of just the process of going through this, and what some of your takeaways were, since we have 5 people who participated in the process. People quiet. Okay, I guess. Oh yeah, Diane, go ahead, please.
I feel really confident in all of you and well cared for, that we come together, we collaborated. I mean, I'm kind of new. I don't really know anybody all that well, and I just feel like there's no I don't know, discord. It all just, you know, everybody comes from a different place with different desires and all, and our range of tolerance is open, and I just feel like everything's moving along really, really well. So thank you for all your efforts and your continuing work. Bob, I'm very pleased. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm also very new here, so it's really interesting to see you guys talk about how things have maybe changed as things have been discussed, and that's super interesting to learn about. I'm super excited to meet people next Tuesday, right, at the ice cream social. I think that'll be a great time.
Oh, it'll be next month. So
Oh,
it's
month. Yes, yes.
July
Sorry.
29th. So
Yes.
glad you mentioned that. So you didn't show up with.
We're in
In a field with no one, yeah. Next month. Yes, thank you. In
I
July.
say though that some of our newer folks, we've been meeting out at Prospect Park from time to time just to talk and look at the area. That's a really
Mhm.
to do. And for those of us who are wrapping our heads around living somewhere different than we've lived, I have found it just make me more excited about. I'm just increasingly excited about the area. Now you all chose the property, did a great job ending up where you did. So seeing this now, all the pieces come together, it's pretty wonderful.
It's exciting.
And you got comments too?
It's just super exciting. Yeah. I mean, we're tweaking all these little things and we're seeing new folks come on board who are interested. I hope to make the ice cream social. It's looking good right now on the schedule. So yeah.
And what do you think?
I'm going to be in Denver area from July 10th to the 24th. So I was going to, I wouldn't be able to make the July end of the month July thing, but I thought if I could contact somebody, my kids are anxious, want to see the area, and so I will be going out there just to even look at it on my own. So
Excellent, all the way from Lodi.
Yeah, and just to follow up, we've hosted a number of people who have come out from out of state. And in fact, we have a very interested potential member coming out next week through the 4th of July holiday. So Lisa and I will join her. We've met her several times already, and I think there's just nothing like going to the area and seeing it for yourself. And so um, Lisa, Josh, we're more than happy to meet you out there at Prospect Park and sit and talk and show you the property. It's
so who would be a good point of contact to do that, or should I contact?
and you can send it to me and I'll drop my email. You've already sent me things before. We've
Okay.
chatted it a couple of times, but I'll drop my email and then I'll coordinate with Lisa and Josh between everybody's travel schedules. But I'll be physically here in Denver the dates that you just mentioned.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Sounds great, look forward to seeing you in person.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks again, Bob, for coming and walking us through these.
Of course, of course. And
Thanks,
as you
Bob.
know, Brian, he wanted to be here, but of course, he's birthday boy today. So
Yeah,
Good for him.
that's good.